The fans of the Paper Mario series are incredibly vocal. They will praise the Thousand Year Door as one of the best games of all time. And on the other side of the coin, they'll tell you that Sticker Star is easily one of the most disappointing games ever created, which is why I was surprised when I never heard any mention of Super Paper Mario for the Nintendo Wii. Like most middle children, it seems that Super Paper Mario never gets talked about nowadays, which is why I was even more surprised that despite this game being so easy it ruins the post-game, it still has one of the best stories of any Mario game. We'll see why when I complete Super Paper Mario for the Nintendo Wii, here on a brand new episode of The Completionist, where we don't just beat the games, we complete them. I am beyond excited to get back into the world of Paper Mario. I've always had this love of the paper aesthetic, and it actually has inspired me to give my own origami skills a little polish. So let me show you what I've been working on. This right here is a rock, okay? This one right here is a snowball, and this last one right here is a swan. It's still in the egg.
Here comes a new challenger!
Yes!
Danger! Perfect!
So the Paper Mario series has always been beloved for turn-based combat that features perfectly timed button presses, unique party members, and humorous storytelling. In fact, there was this really funny part of the Thousand Year Door where you play as Bowser in a side-scrolling platformer minigame. It totally came out of left field, and it was a ton of fun. But you see, it was this joke minigame that served as the biggest inspiration for Chief Director Ryota Kawadi. He loved that Bowser minigame and wondered what that level would look like in a 3D Mario game. Thus, the two biggest changes in Super Paper Mario were created. One, the game would not be a turn-based RPG, but a side-scrolling platformer. And two, the player would have the ability to switch between 2D and 3D. Now, this move scared a lot of fans. So many people loved the Paper Mario series as an RPG that they didn't want to see it move into a new direction. Honestly, it works. This is the first Paper Mario title that successfully marries some of its tried and true RPG elements to Mario's platformer roots. And yes, despite morphing into a platformer, there are still a lot of RPG elements included in this game that still make it feel like a traditional Paper Mario game. You can level up, increase your health and attack. There are plenty of items to use for attacking enemies, as well as healing. Also, you have 4 different party members. While there are no new, never-before-seen teammates here, you do get to use the classic staples of Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, and Bowser. And to go along with that, this is the first time Peach and Bowser have been on the same team since Super Mario RPG. The way this whole story kicks off is with Mario and Luigi chilling at home until a toad tells them that Princess Peach has been kidnapped by that bad guy. Thinking they already know who did it, the brothers head to Bowser's castle. However, they soon learn that it was not Bowser, but it was instead Count Bleck. Count Bleck absorbs them all into a portal, and Mario finds himself alone in a world called Flipsville. He learns that to defeat Count Bleck and save everyone, he must collect the 8 pure hearts scattered between 8 different worlds. Alright everyone, I know that this sounds like you're just doing another generic RPG collect the MacGuffins to save the world storyline, but believe me, this game is anything but that. Super Paper Mario easily has one of the best stories of any Mario game I've ever played. Although that may seem like an easy statement to make, with the series' most simplistic premises being to save the princess, not every Mario game is cut and dry as just save the princess. Take for example Super Mario RPG and the Mario & Luigi series. But Super Paper Mario takes things to the next level with its innate charm and its willingness to go dark. Now we all know that charm isn't new for the Paper Mario series, but this game gets really wacky. For instance, there's O'Chunks, a Scottish strongman who, after you defeat, flies away with farts. So essentially, Wario's in this game. You also interact with an alien squid that really has to use the bathroom and even participate in a game show in a bathroom. There is a lot of literal potty humor in this game, and while it doesn't always land, it's fascinating to see that in a Mario game. One of the main bosses you battle is an otaku chameleon that makes cat maids and collects kinds of nerd memorabilia, including models of characters from the older Paper Mario games, and defeating him in a dating simulator. How often do you see Nintendo doing this type of satire of nerd culture in their own games like this? Normally, the only humor you get in a Mario game is like, aw, shucks, where a character loses or is defeated, such as Bowser being trapped in a bottle at the end of Super Mario 3D World. The otaku chameleon and the plethora of weird bathroom-type jokes are deliberate choices, and even if they don't quite land, I really appreciate them. Now, I love these humorous moments, but if the game was just filled with this humor, I would probably get tired of it. Super Paper Mario counteracts this beautifully with some of the darkest things I've ever seen in a Mario game. In your quest to save all of the worlds, you actually see a world get destroyed, and you have to explore it as an empty void. You travel to hell and meet a lot of characters who say they don't died, but they just game overed. They're the spirits of previous Marios. In every other game, you just see the live numbers go down, but in Super Paper Mario, you actually see the remnants of failed playthroughs in hell. Yeah, sure, it's called the underwear, but it's still hell. What's the most disturbing boss you've seen in a Mario game so far? Bowser? A giant wiggler? In this game, there's a shape-shifting girl named Mimi who, in order to turn into a normal form, breaks her neck and turns into a spider monster. And you all know how I feel about spiders. So before all of this, the darkest a Mario game got was in Mario Sunshine when Bowser Jr. thinks Peach is actually his mom, which is mostly dark because of internet speculation and just kind of the way it's presented. Super Paper Mario has Luigi get brainwashed and become one of the main antagonists in the game, the mysterious Mr. L. Your own brother is turned on you. Now that is some Shakespearean backstabbing. But the dark moments that affected me the most was when, between each chapter, there would be a series of lines of dialogue that showed a forbidden love torn apart by a disproving family and dark prophecies. It's even more heartbreaking when you realize you know these characters. While it soon becomes obvious who these people are, the game still plays the emotions perfectly. And when I reached the end, I actually cried. When was the last time you cried at a Mario game? Was it when Mario slid down a flagpole like a sexy fireman? No, it wasn't. Now, this same plot structure was used in Super Princess Peach with Perry the Parasol, but it is executed so much more effectively in Super Paper Mario. So with Perry, the flashbacks were very obvious and served more to separate Perry from the protagonist. With Super Paper Mario, you learn who it is while you actually see these characters develop and have relationships with other people. You know them and you want them to be happy. And now the ending is tragic as well as triumphant. All in these bold choices to be dark or funny balance each other out and make the main story of Super Paper Mario memorable and engrossing. I wanted to know what wacky worlds I'd be going to next, and I actually wanted to save the universe and the characters in it. However, in the end, I just wish the post-game was just as interesting. So as I mentioned earlier, Super Paper Mario is a platformer with RPG elements slapped onto it. This also includes a unnecessarily long post-game. But where other games use this as a way to throw a more difficult challenge at the player, Super Paper Mario never gets difficult. In fact, its easy difficulty combined with some repetitive game-breaking exploits completely ruin the post-game experience. First off, just how easy is this game? Well, I was level 15 when I beat the main story, and in this game, you can go as high as level 99. That's 84 more levels I could possibly earn. That's insane. Not only that, I never purchased any bonus items that helped me hurt opponents, and the game gave me all of the healing items I would ever need. Beating this game was a breeze. Although the easy difficulty could hide behind the deep and exciting story during the main game, there was no such thing in the post-game. Just bare bones battles and collecting items. Now, the biggest items you'll have to collect are the catch cards. These are cards that have a picture of every enemy and character in the game. For each one you collect of an enemy, you do extra damage. However, you already kill most enemies in 1 or 2 hits, so they feel kind of completely useless. Now, you can collect these by using an empty catch card on an enemy or by going to a card shop and purchasing all the cards that you want. I highly recommend the latter. But Gerard, I hear you asking, how do you get all the money to purchase those cards? Well, young viewer, that's where recipes come in. Recipes tell you how to use different items to cook a dish. You find these recipes by collecting discs, but you still have to cook each of these recipes. That means you have to go out and either purchase those ingredients or get them as a drop from an enemy, which can be a real pain for the rarer ones. Now, to do this, you'd think that you'd have to keep switching between characters to navigate between the different worlds. That's not the case. Since Mario is the only character who can flip from 2D to 3D, you'll be spending 90% of your time as Mario. Sorry, Peach and Luigi. There are also 13 different creatures you can find throughout the story called pixels that give you special abilities like throwing enemies or dropping bombs. Since you want to be moving quickly, you'll either be using the pixel carry to ride on a platform or Dashel to run fast. Now, there is one particular recipe where you can double your money by cooking it and selling it. If you go to a certain shop in the second level, they sell life mushrooms for 50 coins, half the cost. Bring it back to the kitchen, cook it, and then sell the result for 96 coins. There are over 200 cards to purchase and over 100 ingredients you'll need for cooking. So, every penny counts. And you can only carry 12 items at a time, as well as only 999 coins. So you're going to be making a lot of trips. However, you can't buy every one of these items, so you have to do other tasks, like treasure hunting. There are 48 maps that show spots on different levels where rare items are hiding. If you go to that spot and use the pixel fleep, you can find that item. However, you have to purchase each of these maps to find the treasure. So, you're gonna be back on that money grind I mentioned earlier. So that covers all the collectibles, but what about those extra battles I mentioned? Well, there are 3 different trials: the Duel of 100, the Flip Side Pit of 100 trials, and the Flop Side Pit of 100 trials. These are all a series of 100 battles in a row, and they're supposed to be really difficult. The Duel of 100 takes place in a world that I mentioned earlier that was destroyed. After you beat the game, the world comes back, and you can participate in a tournament where you have to fight 100 battles without stopping against the same enemy type with slight differences. It's kind of a fun one-on-one situation that requires a lot of strategy. Or it would be if I didn't just have to do the same thing over and over. Well, you know how I said earlier you spend 90% of the time in this game playing as Mario? Well, you spend the other 10% as Bowser. Since he deals twice as much damage as every other character, can kill most enemies in a single hit, and breathes fire, you'll be using him in every single duel. So hop on carry to move faster and burn everyone alive. Next up is the Flip Side Pit of 100. After every 10 levels in the pit, you unlock a catch card for each of the pixels you use in the game. This is similar to the Duel of 100, except there is a wide variety of different enemies. Finally, we have the Flop Side Pit of 100 trials. These are found in Flop Side, which is the opposite version of Flip Side. In here, you go through the trials in the same way as Flip Side, but all of the enemies are dark versions of regular enemies, meaning they have more health, hit harder, and still get killed by Bowser in 1 or 2 hits. Once you reach the end, a disembodied voice tells you that you need to do it again. So you do it again, and kill everything in 1 hit with Bowser again. If Super Paper Mario was turn-based or required a little bit more strategy, it could have been fun. Instead, in the end, it kind of ended up monotonous and boring. Not to mention, I needed to buy some healing items just in case, so I just kept doing that damn recipe gimmick again to make sure I was always stocked. Now, there are some things you can do as well if you'd like, such as reach level 99, play some motion-based arcade games, but none of these are fun, and they're just kind of a waste of time. The worst part about all of this is that it was over twice as long as the main story, and that took 14 hours. So for each minuscule thing I had to do after I beat the game, whether it be to buy a card, or beat an enemy in a trial fight, or make yet another trip to the kitchen to make the same recipe so I could have all the money in the world to complete this game, it hurt me. It was like after every task, I got a paper cut. It didn't cause any major damage, but it definitely stung and irritated me beyond belief. The thing about doing every task in the game is that almost all of them help you with getting more collectibles. Beat the trials, get a pixel and some cards. Find the treasure maps, you get cards. Cook all the recipes and collect all the cards? Well, you get nothing. That's not entirely true. Once you find the Mario capture card, you can spend unlimited time flipped in 3D. But you never need to spend that much time in 3D, so it's kind of completely useless. But what do you get for collecting and beating everything? Nothing. Now, lame completion bonuses have been a trend for a lot of the Paper Mario games I've completed so far, but it's never felt quite this painful. The drastic change in enjoyment from the main story to the post-game is painful, wonderful. Not only do I have a paper cut for each bonus thing I had to do, but now the game is just squirting lemon juice on them. When I completed Super Paper Mario, there were 0 deaths, so no trips to the underwear for me, 48 treasure maps purchased and then hunted afterwards, 96 recipes cooked in order to make 96 different dishes I'll never eat, 256 catch cards captured, but mostly purchased from the Flopside card shop because that was way more efficient, 400 trials conquered, like a super efficient Judge Judy, 52 hours of total playtime, and 800 band-aids for each paper cut I got for each post-game activity. I know it feels like I really ragged on Super Paper Mario a lot and I didn't enjoy the game, but that's not true. The dimension flipping mechanic is fun and the story is absolutely incredible. I laughed, I cried, I was very satisfied. But that makes up for less than a third of the completion experience. The rest is doing simple repetitive tasks over and over again until you get every single useless collectible in the game with no reward. And that, my friends, is not fun. So, with that in mind, guys, I give this game my completionist rating of finish it.
Finish it!
That's all the time we have today, guys, so please, as always, let me know what you thought of today's episode somewhere on the internet. If you like the show, do us a favor. Let us know in the comments down below. Let us know what episodes you want to see here on The Completionist. And don't forget, you can subscribe if you're new here, hit the like button if you actually liked today's video, and hit that bell, that stupid bell that everyone tells you to hit it for us, because we make good stuff. Guys, I've been Gerard the Completionist. If you want to support us on Patreon, you can do that at patreon.com/thecompletionist, and we'll see you next week for the brand new episode. Bye-bye.